Damian, the Chancellor promised help for business. How would you give him a score? How would you rate him?
Well, I think on balance, business can afford to be reasonably pleased with what the Chancellor's delivered today, and I'd probably give him a 6 out of 10.
So not effusive then?
No, but anything above 5 is a vote of confidence.
So he keeps the job for another week.
Keeps the job.
But where specifically do you think he did good for business, and where did he go wrong?
Well, I think the most important thing he did today was he didn't do any more damage as far as business is concerned. And there were a raft of policies that will do some good, marginal. But there was a lot on infrastructure, as we were expecting. There was a great deal on credit easing, 2 big policies that aren't going to kick in the immediate term or the short term, and are going to require a certain degree of patience before they actually start having a big positive impact on the economy. But they do give some idea of direction. They give people confidence, and they give people, investors and business, something to aim at, so they know where we're going with infrastructure and big capital spending. So that's good news on the whole. And then there were a raft of shorter term policies that were quite eye-catching and will make some people feel a bit better, a bit more cheerful, a bit more confident. Things like the tax break on new seed enterprise investment schemes, which I think a lot of investors, angel investors particularly, people with 100 grand to invest, will feel quite interesting, and they can invest that money in new companies and get a high degree of tax relief, so that's quite a good idea. And the R&D tax credit, taking that above the line, will encourage companies to make sure that their R&D is taken out here. The stimulus for the housing market, for instance, was also quite a positive measure. So all those things in balance on the whole are generally marginally positive for business. Where you could criticise the Chancellor, I think, is that he wasn't terribly radical. A lot of these plans, of course, we knew about them, but they are sort of a bit ho-hum, and there was nothing politically terribly radical about this autumn statement as far as business was concerned. I mean, certainly for individuals and for the public sector, there were some quite strong political messages about pay in the public sector, particularly, which will cause issues, no doubt. But when it comes to business, it was pretty steady as she goes.
But business, don't you think, must be very concerned about the economic outlook here?
That's absolutely right, and I go back to my earlier point, which is that he didn't do any damage. It's a very dangerous thing for a finance minister to open their mouth in these current febrile markets, but he stood up in Parliament and got away with it. Gilt yields actually fell slightly by the end of the speech. So the economy is still ticking over. It's still got a pulse. I mean, clearly he's borrowing more, which is bad news, but our interest rates are incredibly low with the help of the Bank of England, which is obviously buying a lot of gilts, but so are other investors. So the economy and Plan A remains intact. Austerity remains intact. So he's doing what he said he was going to do, and he still has credibility. The UK still has credibility, particularly within Europe. And when you set it in that Eurozone context, what we heard today from the Chancellor was actually common sense and credible. Where you compare it to, say, Italy or Greece, that's simply not happening, and we're still dictating our own future, as it were. Our destiny remains in our hands, just about.